Well, hello everybody. Here we are in the refreshed 2023 Toyota Highlander. Yes, this is the Highlander with the turbo 4-cylinder under the hood. And boy, are we excited to take this out in a spin and show you what this 4-cylinder is all about. So let's go ahead and hop into that.
Yeah, so Toyota, emphasized a lot about the torque figure, 317 pound-feet of torque. It's a big number, and you can really feel that. Definitely pushes you back in the seat, and we took off there pretty fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. This thing is quite quick. So it's producing 265 horsepower, which, yes, if you're keeping track of that, that is 30 less horsepower than the current Highlander V6 in the 2022 model. That said, the 310 pound-feet of torque is a 17% improvement in the amount of torque. So in essence, what do you think, Drew, behind the wheel? We've driven the V6 Highlander many times. I think it equates to about the same acceleration.
Yeah, so, ultimately, everyone thinks about horsepower, right? But torque is really kind of the thing that you feel the most. And when you bump the torque and you get off the line like that, I think that it feels every bit of as powerful. If not, maybe even more powerful just from the seat of my pants.
Yeah, it's quite quick, for sure. And this is the only engine you can get, or not the only engine, but the only just fully gas powertrain you can get. There's no other option for that besides for the hybrid model, which of course gets excellent fuel economy, and we will be covering that model hopefully later this year when we can get out a full extensive test of that.
Right. So exactly, in case you were wondering, like he was saying, this completely replaces the V6, just like it did in the Lexus RX. This is kind of that new engine that's kind of replacing the 3.5 liter V6. And we'll do some more accelerations and kind of get a sense of maybe the refinement as well.
Certainly a lot of torque. We are in a little bit of traffic here, and it's unfortunate we are on a very limited time frame with this vehicle. Hopefully we'll get an extensive test back at home in Lexington with this, but we're going to give you as many good impressions as we can.
Right.
Now, I do want to talk about your ride quality for this new Highlander, because obviously, or the refreshed Highlander, it is going to carry over this year. So you're going to have your signature Highlander ride quality, which has always been one of the best in the entire segment. This does a phenomenal job of just soaking up the bumps, being very comfortable, which is exactly what anything in this segment of vehicle is meant to do. It's meant to be comfortable, to haul all three rows of people in opulence, and this Highlander does a phenomenal job. It really does feel like a Toyota Lexus. So when you get in here, it does feel similar to something like a Lexus RX in terms of the comfort level, because it's just so good. And we will get a sound level reading here, going 55, so we can compare to some of the rivals. .5, it switched on me at the last second there. That's a very solid sound level reading. I do believe that is unchanged for 2023. They really haven't messed much with the ride quality or any of the sound deadening, because it certainly didn't need any changes this year.
Right, kind of going over these potholes, it really just absorbs them so nicely. You have no harsh impacts coming into the cabin at all. Now, as far as some other things to talk about, we do have an 8-speed automatic transmission on board. That's going to continue this year. This has always been a pretty good transmission. It's nice and responsive is one of the biggest things that I always remember about it, because when you change your position, you get a new gear change pretty much immediately. I was noticing just there, you do hear the turbo actually pretty pronounced, which is kind of cool. so I want to go ahead and kind of talk more about the refinement characteristic, because that previous 3.5 liter V6 was just absolutely buttery smooth.
Yeah.
So I know that's probably a big concern that a lot of you guys are wondering, how does this compare? I think Toyota has really done a great job of refining this 4-cylinder to be very close. I'm not going to say it's quite as smooth, because it's very hard to mimic those 6-cylinder characteristics from a 4-cylinder at the end of the day. But they have really taken special effort to make this not just a run-of-the-mill turbo 4-cylinder, which some of them, in other vehicles can be very harsh.
Yeah.
Toyota has added, for instance, balancing shafts to this engine, which is going to be one of the things that helps it to be nice and smooth and refined, even when you're under heavy acceleration. I feel like really the biggest difference is just going to be that auditory.
Yeah, the noise.
Yes, having that nice and smooth sound versus something that sounds a little more strained.
For sure. Yeah, and that's something worth noting. I do want to talk about that point just a little bit. That used to be one of the really big cons about getting a hybrid version of the Highlander over the regular gas models that you lost out in the V6. So for those of you looking to buy a Highlander, I think that actually makes the hybrid model more attractive this year, because you're getting this, a similar 4-cylinder experience in both the gas model as well as the hybrid model. And Toyota has said that they expect hybrid sales to actually increase now to about 20%, whereas it was previously 9%. So I think they'll be building more hybrid models available for you guys. And I will point out the fuel economy for the hybrid, since the fuel economy for this one is going to be sitting at 25 miles a gallon combined for the 4-cylinder model. The hybrid is sitting at 36 mpg combined, so an 11 mpg improvement for going for the hybrid model. Certainly something very significant over the lifetime of the vehicle. 11 mpg really adds up to save you a lot of money, more so than the $1,500 price premium of the hybrid model. Now, if you're curious...
Oh, and not to interrupt, but I really just want to take a second to talk about that fuel economy, though, with this 2.4 liter turbo. We're going to call that today's airball, because it's actually the same fuel economy as the V6. So if you're expecting to get better fuel economy, you're actually not. You have, like I said, more torque, and Toyota also says you're making less emissions, like nitrous oxide and things like that. I'm not sure that's going to matter to people that much. What matters to people is probably, the pocketbook.
Right.
And it's not really going to hit any better in the pocketbook area than the previous V6, which I think is unfortunate.
But they do offer the hybrid, which is something that a lot of rivals do not. So that is certainly something worth noting. And you might be curious about what our slam dunk is. Our slam dunk this year is going to be the technology improvement. Certainly a big improvement to throw in the digital gauge cluster. That was something that a lot of the rivals had that this Highlander was not available with. You have a new and improved infotainment system. New features like the power folding mirrors are certainly a nice bonus as well. I will say, though, I wish they had changed a little bit more with the styling, maybe revise the headlamp a little bit, maybe give me a full LED taillight in the back. I think that would have been a nice bonus in addition to the changes that they made, but they really changed everything that they needed to change. And let's go ahead and talk about the pricing before we conclude this test drive. So the pricing is going to start at $36,420 this year for the L model, and this is with front wheel drive as well. Now, LE is going to be $38,820, XLE $41,820, XSE $43,415, Limited $46,075, and Platinum $49,075. That is the gas model front wheel drive. Now, hybrid is going to be a little bit higher starting point, since you, of course, have the hybrid upcharge, and you're starting at an LE trim level, so it's going to be starting a little over $40,000 for that hybrid model.
But all in all, the Highlander has always been a very strong competitor in this segment. And for 2023, it's really only getting stronger.